our previous Vice-Chancellor was retiring and our new one had been appointed, the new one being Professor Nick Petford, and he was very keen that the University of Northampton differentiated itself in an extremely positive way. I mean, obviously we could have been the cheapest or the most expensive, but he was very keen that we were the university that was known for, quote, doing good stuff. So when Professor Petford took charge, he said, right, we were going to go out and aim to be the #1 social enterprise university in the UK. At the time, that was, I think, an extremely sensible strategy, because in the late 2000s and 2010-11, the government, as you'll be aware, was putting an enormous emphasis on social enterprise as a way of delivering positive social and environmental change. In 2010, we pulled the separate activities that the university was taking together, and they were good. And we realised we had some excellent work going into the curriculums, and we spread social enterprise throughout a whole host of degrees. And we didn't just have a degree in social enterprise. It was relatively simple to increasingly align research to social innovation, social impact. But of course, the big activity is in the rest of the UK. It's not within the University of Northampton. So we wanted to make a change. We wanted to make a positive contribution to existing and would-be social entrepreneurs. And to do that, we realised we needed an external partner. We spoke to a number, and we came across Exemplas.
The objective of the University of Northampton was to become the leading university in the area of social enterprise or social entrepreneurship. And one key facet of supporting that objective was to create an environment whereby the social enterprise market could avail themselves of business support services. And that's where we really came in. Exemplas has been operating for the best part of 25 years now in the areas of business support. And recognising that the University of Northampton had this aspiration to be the leading university around social entrepreneurship, we co-established a service that exists today in the form of Inspire to Enterprise. And that provided the platform to provide the kind of services that the social sector needed.
And what Exemplas had was I think, a very good systems and methodology and ability to get messages out to people and then deliver support to existing and would-be social entrepreneurs, both face-to-face, online, and crucially by telephone. And that, I think, is why Exemplas, with its sophisticated call centre and marketing operation, was absolutely crucial to the university's vision at that time. We are the only university in Northamptonshire, and there are a whole host of imperatives why a university should work closely with its local business community. Doing so provides opportunities for student placements, graduates to get good jobs, for local research projects and for practical consultancy. Clearly, it's much easier for an academic in the Faculty of Business or the Faculty of Science to work with a business 5 miles away than 300 miles away. We always envisaged Inspire to Enterprise as being a national service, so we didn't think using that label, Inspire to Enterprise, would be appropriate for a local organisation. So we needed then to come up with a brand which could be used largely by the same people, because a lot of the questions that you get from a social entrepreneur are the same from a non-social entrepreneur. But we needed a local brand, and at that time the government was very keen on what it called growth hubs. So working with local partners, the local enterprise partnership and the county council, we launched Northamptonshire Growth Hub in November 2013 to support local businesses.
The development of the Northamptonshire Growth Hub was really a manifestation of what had happened in the previous couple of years under the auspices of Inspire to Enterprise. So having established a business support service, which was for the social sector, It was very easy then to look at how we could extend a service to support the University of Northampton's local needs, that in relation to business support in the area of Northamptonshire. So using the Inspire to Enterprise model, which was a blended model of remote support together with face-to-face advice, we replicated that in order to create the Northamptonshire Growth Hub.
We did it on our own, we did it without government support. The good news is that within a year, the government had recognised the work we were doing and were then supporting us, and we were then part of the formal system. The fact we have Northamptonshire Growth Hub and the fact it is successful measured by, it is recognised by BEIS as successful and by the CEO of our South East Midlands LEP, the one we're now in, as successful, means that we have a seat at the table and we're listened to when we're talking about both local, county, but also regional development.
The University of Northampton have created significant social impact over the past few years in a number of respects. They've very much supported the development of new social enterprises. They've supported that both in terms of funding and business support. And separately, they have embedded social enterprise into their supply chain and as part and parcel of their procurement.
We've delivered, I think, very significant social impact, done good stuff, by linking our procurement strategy very much to social impact. So, for example, all of our larger suppliers have to have in their contracts social impact clauses, and these, in practical terms, mean things like employing apprentices, upskilling local workers, embedding social impact in their supply chain. We've made an enormous difference in Northamptonshire because we've spent the last 4 years building a new campus. We're moving into it in September 2018, and when you spend £350 million building a new campus and you're working with 3 very large developers and they have a supply chain of several hundred subcontractors, working with these developers, and Exemplas was very helpful when we were initially having the conversations with them, we jointly developed a way of embedding social impact in the procurement strategy. So there were clauses in the invitation to tender and the pre-qualification questionnaire, etc., that the developers had to meet, and they were scored in terms of how they would deliver social impact. We helped the developers to understand what we meant by social impact. The partners we picked were actually very proactive. They brought new thinking to us, and we've worked together for the last 3 years with the developers, and we've, I think, been extremely successful. Over 300 new jobs, over 200 apprenticeships, several hundred local people with new skills, lots of innumerable local suppliers to the whole supply chain. It's been, I think, a tremendous success. And we've been able to record all this and report it. I think we're the only university that now produce an annual social impact report covering the whole range of what we do in teaching and learning and research and business engagement and in the way we use our procurement policy. I mean, what we're trying to do in the University of Northampton is turn the way we operate into, wherever possible, a way of doing good. If you can reduce unemployment, improve the number of skilled workers, increase apprenticeship opportunities by working with the private sector or the public sector, then why wouldn't you? And as well as contributing to the economic development of the Senlep and Cancox region, we are also, of course, absolutely serious about maintaining our commitment to social innovation and social impact. By 2013, we were, I think, very widely recognised as the university that was doing the most to support social enterprise. I remember being down in London and listening to Nick Hurd, who at that time was Minister of State, stand up, and he didn't know I was in the audience. And he said, of course, the university that is doing most to support social enterprise is the University of Northampton, which was a super accolade.
As a consequence of all of this activity, the University of Northampton quickly became recognised as the university for support around the social sector. So much so that the politicians in Westminster started to take a great interest in the University of Northampton, the Cabinet Office in particular, as they did indeed in the Inspire to Enterprise service, to the point that any inquiries that went into Cabinet Office around social entrepreneurship or social enterprise support were immediately referred out to Inspire to Enterprise. When Exemplas established the relationship with the University of Northampton in 2011, the longer-term intention was always for the service that was created to be taken back in-house. In other words, that the University of Northampton would at some stage deliver those services. Our remit in the interim was to create brands and services aligned to the University of Northampton's vision and objectives. And when we got to around about 2016, when the objectives had firmly been achieved for the University of Northampton, it was at that point that the university then decided to take the services in-house.
I think the transition was successful, and it was the culmination of the original plan. I mean, we realised in 2010, 2011 we had to work with an external partner, but both us and Exemplas always said that the ambition was the university would have the capacity and capability to do this themselves. It gave us more flexibility. And I think what was really impressive was that by 2016, after only 4 or 5 years, we'd been able to move the Growth Hub and Inspire to Enterprise team, and it was a team, into the university. It is entirely funded from external sources. It doesn't cost the university anything. Our business support and all the opportunities we get for student placements, graduate employment and research is free because someone else is paying for it. When we did the transition was exactly as they said they would when we started the whole journey, and we agreed that the university should be aiming to have its own capability. And it was actually really encouraging, because you work with some external suppliers and they don't deliver what they say. Exemplas did. Without Exemplas and without the whole Inspire to Enterprise model, we would never have had we wouldn't have done the thinking, we wouldn't have had the competence or the confidence to do it. But I think, if you take me, in 2010 I was the university's first Director for Social Enterprise Development, and I had some experience. Here I am 8 years later, Executive Dean for Research, Impact and Enterprise. My journey has very much mirrored the university's. I understand so much more than I did just 8 years ago, the impact that a university can have, both locally, regionally and nationally, on people in development.